So hello everyone again, and warm welcome to everyone joining us from around the globe. My name is Renata Marco. I'm from Aristec, and I'm thrilled to welcome you all to our live webinar, Unlocking GenAI Potential. The session will be recorded, and this webinar is an exciting opportunity for all of us to delve into the deep world of generative AI, and this technology is definitely reshaping our world in numerous ways. And in our today's rapidly evolving technological landscape, understanding and harnessing the potential of Gen AI has become more important than ever. And it's not just about knowing what it is, but it's also about how to use it, where to use it, and understanding its potential for disruption. This webinar is not really a lecture, it's more like an interactive platform for dialogue and discussion. And we have with us today two experts who have hands-on experience in GenAI, and they are eager to share their insights and answer your questions. We will have 55 minutes, and our agenda is the following. We will kick off with Christoph Eger, our Global Innovation Practice Lead from Aristec, also a sales manager in the MENA region. And he will be speaking about strategic innovation, the key to value creation. And this will provide a comprehensive understanding of how critical effective innovation is in our dynamic and disruptive environment. And we will have also Norbert Licki, our head of data science, and he will provide an introduction to GenAI, its real-world applications, and discuss its strengths and weaknesses and the challenges we face. And then we will arrive to the third part of the session, which is the Q&A session. And I think we can already kickstart with Christoph, if you are ready.
Thank you, Renny. Yes. Can you hear me well, Renny? Please confirm that.
Yes, I can hear you.
But if you cannot at any stage, please let me know here or on any of the background chats, just to make sure technology doesn't kick us off the wrong way. Hello, everyone. Very nice to see you. I can see in the chat some of our partners and customers here from Europe, but also some of you from Middle East and North Africa region. So hello and welcome. As Renny has said, I'll try not to take more than 15 minutes to speak a little bit about the context of generative AI, which for us here at Alice is one of the latest technologies that we deal with. We have been dealing with technology for the past decade or so, and for us, always the key question is, as you saw at the beginning, how we can put new technologies in context of business realities. So how can we make sure that the new technologies are really relevant for the business outcomes that all of you in your organizations aim at? So with that, let's get into it. And again, from an Alice perspective, very very brief introduction. We have started out in 2010. So again, we have more than a decade experience in delivering innovation use cases. These are mostly focused around data and AI on Google Cloud. We are a premier Google Cloud partner, and we have global experience. So we work with clients in Southeast Asia, in Europe, in the Middle East, North Africa regions, and again, we have 200 plus companies from end-to-end cloud use case delivery. More on that a little bit later in the questions if you'd like to hear more specifics. Now, getting into GenAI specifically, let's take a step back for a moment with the painting that you have here ahead of us, or it's a modified version of a painting, actually. It was modified by GenAI. And the painting is a copy, a fake copy of Michelangelo's famous painting, the creation of Adam. It's from 500 years ago. It's painted in the Sistine Chapel in the Vatican. And it basically, the painting, if you look at the bigger version of it, it's an excerpt, normally shows how Adam is trying to reach kind of the hand of God and vice versa. And of course, it never happens. And that painting nowadays, if you know it, is often used for as an expression how man reaches for certain things that are kind of unreachable, but would be very important to reach. And I asked GenAI or image AI to recreate this image in a way that it shows how man tries to reach technology and kind of become more and more acquainted with it. And with GenAI, of course, this is something that maybe for the first time we will see it on a mass level. That all of us, not just really, really technical people, but really people from a business side, and I'm certainly one of them. I'm not an engineer. Will have unparalleled access to the abilities of technology, and in particular to the powers of the creative powers of artificial intelligence. And that's the first topic I'd like to briefly address today. We have a real cutting-edge breakthrough with GenAI that's dawned upon us over the publicly last 6 months, since more or less the emergence of ChatGPT. But since then, also, if you have tried out Google Bard, you have probably tried some of your presentations maybe to edit them or to write content or write some emails. You have probably experienced it, or even more complex use cases like generating code. The second topic that I'd like to briefly touch upon today is other technologies, because of course we are really, really focused now on generative AI. Our LinkedIn feeds are full of Gen AI, but we must not forget that this is, quote unquote, just one of the big innovations that's happened at the moment. And some others have happened in the meantime. And 2-3 years down the line, further innovations will come in. So how can we make sure that we don't treat Gen AI as kind of a magical bullet, but really treat it as part of an innovation pattern within our companies, as we have done with data, with cloud, maybe with AI, and all the other solutions that we try to bring in internally into our digital capabilities. And thirdly, we want to speak a little bit how, as Aldis, we help customers, and we have helped over the past decades to make use of these technologies, really starting with understanding your business objectives down to delivering POCs, use cases, and then putting them in production with help of our engineers. Definition of Gen AI, I think you have probably all read about this if you are in this webinar somewhere. It's a branch of AI that involves using algorithms and models to create new and original content. And of course, Norby will go into more technical details of the differences between traditional, apologies, or discriminative AI. But I'm just here today to very briefly tell you, if we stick to the image of kind of paintings or artists, traditional AI or the AI models preceding what we see today in Gen AI are a little bit like painters, like Michelangelo, for example, have painted for 20, 30 years, and using their experience and design and exposure, they have created a predictable pattern of paintings that become better and better. And you can kind of recognize this pattern if you look at many, many paintings of Michelangelo. Now, generative AI is a little bit like building a painter, a robot painter, where you upload the capabilities and the designs and the experience of Michelangelo, and also that of Leonardo da Vinci and of all the other, let's say, Renaissance painters from 200, 300, 400 years ago. And from day one, from the get-go, this robot painter is able actually to not only paint in these different styles, combining the experience of 20, 30 laborious years of these artists, but it's instantly capable of combining also these designs or these paintings. So suddenly you will end up with an amazing painting where you say, oh, this is a combination of Leonardo da Vinci's and of someone else's style. Okay, and this is a little bit the difference between discriminative AI relying on data sets and models that are developing further, and between generative AI that's really able to then step out of the confines of traditional AI and create new and original content. Stepping one step ahead, the question with any innovation that's worth asking, or any new technology, is always, where are we at the moment? And Gartner's innovation curve, which you see ahead of you, helps you address a typical fallacy that we often run into when we look at innovation. And that is the fallacy of peak of inflated expectations, essentially. If you look at this graph, you see that at the beginning, we start at the bottom, is the technology trigger. And that came around more or less about 6 months ago, when ChatGPT became more or less commonly known, let's say 6 months ago, more or less. And suddenly on LinkedIn and everywhere, people started using capabilities of generative AI. Google caught up very, very quick, released Google Bard, which again, now with amazing feature sets, is contributing to this expanding visibility of generative AI. And we are climbing up more and more onto this hill of inflated expectations, where We see more and more people using this technology, um, and having more and more expectations around it, what's capable. And that's really, really good because it sparks creative innovation and it sparks creativity. The problem is that, due to lack of knowledge maybe or lack of understanding, a lot of expectations come in that become very challenging. For example, we speak to a lot of FSI customers who expect us to produce, let's say, Gen AI driven chatbots that are enterprise ready within a week or within 3 days, because of course, in generative AI capabilities, they would like to use it, etc. But of course, they miss a little bit the knowledge or the experience to understand that, in order to scale the capabilities of this new technology to an enterprise-ready level, let's say that's needed for FSIs, of course, as with any technology, more consideration is needed. And this is how we will slowly, probably over the next 6 months, over the next whole year, climb a little bit down to to kind of this valley of disillusionment, where people will realize, okay, well, generative AI is an amazing new technology, but it's just a technology in the sense that we need to learn it, we need to understand its limitations, we need to bring in new knowledge in house or hire external experts in order to really make use of this technology productively. And this is where we as Alice, this is kind of the curve of innovation where we accompany normally our customers and the people we work with to help them realize the capabilities, to set the right expectations of new technology, and then accompany you over the course of the next year or years and make sure you can really make a productive use of it in-house. But we already see, just to put eggs into the other basket, some companies are already getting there. Some companies are already making really, really strong productive use of Gen AI capabilities. And I just wanted to highlight for you 3 kind of case studies or use cases. So, for example, Adidas in product design has used Gen AI, like I have with the image above, to reduce new shoe design time by 75%. Okay. And that was just one effect, which was already, of course, amazing, because this means, at a quarter of the cost or of the time investment, at least you have a new shoe. What was unexpected is that the new shoe design was so good, which partly has contributed to it, that 10% rise was seen in sales. So not only has Gen AI reduced kind of the design time, but it contributed to further elements of the business, which obviously Adidas is trying to understand now. But similarly in content creation in the US, for the New York Times, but similarly in Germany, the Bild Zeitung has used Gen AI to create personalized articles. And it's probably which we most of us are familiar with, content creation capabilities of Gen AI. And it has increased engagement by threefold. So it wrote better content than the human counterparts, and obviously reduced the time to produce it by a lot. I mean, it's 90% here. But again, if any of us have written an email using one of the Gen AI tools out there, you know how quickly it goes. And with customer service, it's the same thing. Capital One has used Gen AI to improve its customer service, but many of the customers that we talk to would like to address customer service and call center automation, especially to reduce call center volumes, to bring in robotic capabilities, to reduce human labor, etc., and overall increase, of course, customer satisfaction, which Capital One has done very well. If you look at generative AI and you want to understand in a core what the key benefits are, and this is how we start moving closer to how you can use it in your business. But first of all, what we have seen, it makes creativity and innovation really productive. This is something that used to be very, very time consuming. You try to put down something creative, an idea, and explore it and build content around it and measure effectiveness of it. Well, with generative AI, you can create all of that very, very quickly. So new ideas can be produced and tested to a minimum viable level very quickly, and then can be scaled and adapted to post MVP stage even. And the most important element here is that if you start producing innovative materials, be it text or content or even code, it's very easy then to customize it or personalize it or take it to different directions with the help of generative AI. So it's a very, very, very forefront creativity and innovation tool that, as we know, can be used across the organization. So the involvement of IT is less and less needed in many ways. And to give you just one number, the impact of this, at the top right corner of the screen, you can see 40% of all working hours will be impacted by large language models, which are the foundation elements of generative AI. So around half of your organization, if you work in an enterprise, one way or another, might be impacted by GenAI sooner or later. So the benefits that you see here on screen, it's worth engaging with them proactively, understanding and change managing how your organization and your employees will be affected by this technology. If you look at an enterprise level and from a use case perspective, this is not the time to go into too many details, but we have kind of classified the potential use cases into three categories. Obviously, on the left side, you can see kind of complex data use cases, which ChatGPT and now also Bard and the evolving GenAI models make accessible and will make the access much more democratized in the sense that your business users will be relying less and less on IT to be able to perform these operations. In the middle, you can see how online interactions can be made much more personal, how your customer journeys that you do online can be made much more conversational in an automatized way. So that's can be interesting for your ads, but even for your internal use cases. We have a customer where we are building their internal knowledge base, which you see at the top in intra-knowledge Q&A, and where we help to, instead of new employees having to go through a 300-page kind of onboarding document, where they can find certain things or how internal procedures are done, we are now building a chatbot to help with that and basically automate the process. And finally, obviously, content generation at the click of a button. So, all types of content that you have for internal and external use cases, GenAI can significantly reduce the time to do that, and again, often produce much better quality than human agents can in the same time. As we said at the beginning, if we think of GenAI, we have to think of it in a broader context. Because next to generative AI, a lot of other technologies have emerged over the past years and are also present at the moment. And we have just listed a few up here: blockchain, AR, VR, robotic capabilities, edge computing. And many other use cases will come and other technologies will come in the upcoming years as well. So what's really important for us here at Alice, when we speak to our customers, we always tell them, don't focus on the technology only. When you have a technology that captures your interest, you have to immediately put your business objectives next to it. How will this technology, will it help me achieve my business objectives? And how will I measure the success of that? And only in that context do we then engage or ask customers to engage on the various technologies that we help with. And to do that, this is what we call effective digital innovation, where we have a process, which is a series of workshops and engagements on a business and technical levels to arrive to POCs. And this process ensures that whatever technology we deploy for our customers, it's part of a proactive and creative and continuous innovation effort that's business relevant. So we really try to align what we do with the strategy that our customers have in place, and make sure that the technologies that we deploy are part of an effort and innovation motion that helps to move this strategy forward. And in that sense, we say GenAI, first of all, don't forget about the technologies out there. Secondly, don't start necessarily with the fancy things that you see out there. Start by really asking the question, how will GenAI help my business objectives, and focus on your business objectives first. And the way we do it, or when we focus on business objectives, the way we do it, most of our customers are very good at improving their business using digital capabilities. And that's also true of the early GenAI use cases we see. And improve your business use cases are typically short-term, kind of 6 to 12-month use cases, which are ROI focused. So, you are looking at increasing profitability or reducing risk. And these usually go quick in the sense that it's 6 to 12 months. They can be easily approved by the annual budget, etc. The more challenging part comes when you start to transform your business. So you look at use cases where profitability is not so clear in the short term, but is more focused on kind of mid to long-term growth and resilience of your business. And these are typical use cases where it takes 12 plus months to do implementation. So it's really a broader conversation. It's usually cross-departmental, and you have to take a little bit more attention to setting this up. And of course, there are very big kind of new technology deployments, which are 3 plus 5 year projects, which we call innovation projects. which again is the most challenging for our customers to implement. And we try to address this opportunity and this challenge with our customers by setting up an innovation portfolio where we make sure that we cover use cases that quickly improve your business, we cover use cases that will transform your business and prepare you for the future. And with GenAI, it's certainly very, very, very exciting because we have we see some very, very strong use cases that can very quickly improve your business. But looking at your business objectives, we can also help you understand how you can transform your business over the mid and long term. Some of the challenges that we face when we look at GenAI in a more transformational context, so let's say you really want to understand how GenAI can help you do more in your business over the coming, let's say, 2 years. There are some challenges that we have identified and that we address for our customers. First of all, is to really give that awareness to your leadership. What's the capabilities really of generative AI, apart from what your leaders might read on LinkedIn or might have heard superficially. How can we make sure they really align and are relevant for your business? And then how can we make sure that the solution is enterprise ready, which has 3 elements. First of all, scaling costs. Norbert can say more about this, but once you have generative AI models in production, they can really start scaling consumption costs. So that's something worth kind of paying attention to. How will the internal user experience of your employees or the external experience of your customers change, and what change management measures do you have in place to make sure that that's effective? And obviously, with any AI and data use case, ethical and legal considerations have to be made sure. And on a practical level, we approach this usually via three steps. We usually show our customers a demo. We have a catalog of demos where we can show you what this really looks like in practice. We can even make kind of custom-made demos to show you the capabilities. Secondly, if you want to take it in-house, then we come to you and do a workshop for you to make sure that it's business relevant, the technology, in this case, GenAI, that you want to use. And also, as part of this one-to-do-day workshop, we go down with you to the level of a kind of high-level technical scope. And after these 2 days, if you'd like, if you are interested, we take this forward into a POC. That's kind of enterprise ready by the end of it. I usually, and the innovation team, cover step 1 and 2, so make sure that you have a good vision of the technology, and then we help you make it business relevant. And step 3 is where Norby and his team of engineers step in. And this is basically my part. I'd like to close it with a quote of a very famous Hungarian scientist, Dr. Albert Szent-Györgyi, who said that innovation is seeing what everybody has seen and thinking what nobody has thought. So we all see GenAI at the moment. Okay, everyone can see it. That's not a question. Everyone has started it to some level. The real opportunity that we see as allies, and we would like to help you, outstanding companies, kind of innovate, is to help you think differently and help you understand what is the capability of GenAI below the surface, and what are the challenges that, if you tackle from day one, then you'll have a much more relevant, much more productive solution in the long term. Thank you. Reni, I think I give it back to you for a moment.
Thank you, Christoph. Yeah, just as a breather, I want to encourage everyone to start collecting your questions. And on the navigation panel, which is on the left side, I believe, for everyone, you will find an icon with a question mark, and there's the forum where you can post your questions. And after Norby's presentation, we will find the time to answer as many as we can. So please post your questions there. Thank you, and the floor is yours, Norby.
Thank you. So after understanding how we approach innovation and how we suggesting you to approach GenAI, let's look at some of the design patterns that we see, how and for what purposes we can leverage GenAI. But before we dive into the use cases, let's really sneak peek under the hood what made available this revolution that we are seeing now. So GenAI has multiple aspects. So it can be used to generate images thanks to diffusion models, but made it really popular was the large language modeling space thanks to ChatGPT and the features that it offers. And these capabilities has been rooting in advances in the natural language processing field for quite some time, and a lot of improvements that made were made in the past made it possible to leverage these models. And an unsurprising result of scaling these huge models that are really being trained on an enormous amount of knowledge, basically on the huge whole internet, is really made these tools transformative. And with the scaling of the models reaching like 1 trillion size of parameters, new capabilities emerge that makes it possible to use them for very advanced and complex situations and problems, such as question answering, reasoning, coding, or actually using tools themselves. And but let's see how we can benefit these tools in your enterprise settings. And basically, I divided the capabilities into 5 groups depending on their complexities. And let's start with the most simplest one, which is about the generation skills. So basically, large language models are big models trained on huge amount of text, and they are being trained to predict the next word, next tokens. And these generation skills allow them to generate text that is following a good prompt that you can initiate. So if you write a good prompt, then you can make the models output very good results that you can use for many purposes. And these purposes can be as simple as generating ad copies, advertisement copies, generating blog posts about technologies, or they can be also a source of information as well, since they have been trained on almost the whole human knowledge base. So there are some purposes. There are some different use cases where you can use it. For example, we see examples for using LLMs for personalization on scale, to creating really personalized newsletters for everyone, to creating multiple versions of articles to match the customers' viewers' tastes. And basically, since these tools are being more and more available in the tools that we are actually working in day to day, or most of us, then new and new use cases will be unlocked that previously seemed unsolvable. But you cannot just use them to generate text, but you can use them also to solve problems. And basically, this is one of the very interesting ideas or use cases for generative AI models, that you can use them to solve problems, natural language problems that previously required training specialized models, requiring collected your own data sets, training huge models on top of them to solve your needs. But right now, written a good prompt, providing a very few examples, good examples, you can directly exploit this capability for large language models, that you can directly test and enrich your data with with outputs of these language models. So you can do like text classification, you can summarize text, you can do sentiment analysis, you can create and extract entities from text. You can use them to clean and format data for analytical purposes. But everything has a downside. So as of now, this type of use case is not suitable for all machine learning use cases. So you cannot rely only on large language models to solve all of your machine learning needs, because these capabilities are enabled by the size of the models. And this size requires a huge infrastructure that you need to, not you, but maybe service providers need to handle for you to be able to provide these services. So what it means that not all AI use cases can be transformed into large language model use cases, but only those ones that require high complex problem-solving skills, that are tolerating latencies, and that are, as of now, requiring low volume of data processing. And this is the situation as of now, but as we move forward into the future, who knows what will come, because diffusion models half a year ago required high-end GPUs to be able to generate images for you. But right now, they are available on your mobile devices. So in a year or two, maybe these models will be running offline on your mobile devices and helping you with tasks on the go as well. The third use case that can be solved by machine learning, by large language models, is processing unstructured data and large amount of unstructured data. So here, basically, we see a good example at one of our clients is that they are now looking at public tenders and summarizing the tenders and extracting information, all of these public tenders that previously they have not saw as a potential sales channel for them, because there were a lot of tenders, there were no manpower to look through all of them. But thanks to GenAI, they could automate the whole process of finding out what is the relevant tender, finding out the capabilities, the requirements and deadlines for the tenders. And because basically it's something that could be done really easily, it allowed them to really find new revenue streams for them. And we also see other capabilities, other use cases at other clients. For example, such models can be used in the recruitment screening process to contrast job descriptions with resumes. They can help via the interview process to provide the right questions for the interviewees to ask for if they are in need of help for this. And also, these models can also contrast documents, contrast requirements with what's written there. And they can be very powerful. However, what you see on the chart that many of these models today face a limitation on their token limit. So it means that you cannot just input like a 100-page document into them, at least not to all of the models. And it's not really the best practice to do so, even if you are able to do it so. But it's really about like how you process and find the exact chunks of the documents and then synthesize it later to get the answer that you are looking for. And basically, it's also an important concept when it comes to the conversational capabilities of large language models. So these models have been recently fine-tuned on conversational data and also on instructional data sets. So they are aware of and they are capable of following human instructions. And this capability makes them very powerful in providing multiple set of assistants. These assistants can be like internal facing, providing your new joiners a way to interact with your internal policies, interact with internal services that they don't know how to access, or they can be also customer facing. For example, they can provide capabilities into your applications, intelligent capabilities that surface new tools, new informations within that tool or product that you provide. Or even you can use them to create like sales chatbots with them. And when you are creating chatbots with this service, you are no longer required to pre-program all of the conversational flows, but you can just describe how the bot should behave and what it should follow, and then you'll be able to recognize the conversation flow and react based upon that. And when you're doing this, of course, not all of the knowledge can be, of course, your knowledge is not in the models themselves, because most of the models that you are using for these purposes are going to be either open source trained on a huge data sets or going to be APIs provided by providers like Google or OpenAI. So there needs to be a way to incorporate your internal knowledge into these models, and this can be also made possible thanks to large models, via converting the text into dense vector representations called embeddings, which contain the semantic meaning of your text or other data. And this representation can be used to find similar items. And this is a thing that can have multiple purposes within your enterprise architecture. So first of all, you can use these vector stores to store your internal knowledge. So you can convert any document, any conversation, any meeting memo into this and you can surface that information via chatbots and make them searchable. And you are doing so in a way to overcome the limitations of the token-limited chatbots. So basically, you are using the similarity search capabilities built into these vector stores to surface the right information that needs to answer the questions that the user is asking to. But you can also use these vector stores to embed the chat history of the user to be able to reflect upon previous conversations. And this topic itself is worth another webinar itself, so I won't deep dive into this, but there are multiple ways how you can use these vector stores. So let's just provide a high-level surface overview of this as of now. But they are becoming a very essential part of the enterprise architecture when it comes to using large language models. And the fifth group of applications is about enabling you to develop solutions much faster than previously. And in my opinion, it has two aspects. So either it enables you to develop applications faster by empowering your developers to do coding tasks faster, thanks to tools like Copilot, which is essentially leveraging the generation capabilities of the models. Or what I find more fascinating and more promising for the future is to look at large language models as agents that are capable of using tools to solve problems at hand. So we all know that large language models do have limitations. They tend to hallucinate. They have limitations on their math skills. They do not know everything that you need them to know. They are certainly limited to the information that was trained to them. So you need to provide them access to tools to make sure that if there's a complex use case, then they're able to solve it for you. And what is really good with that, so you can make these specialized tools available for models to solve specific problems. An example of what we are seeing is that, for example, if we are creating a document processing workflow, then we can build an agent that is basically processing the document, extracting the relevant part from it via certain services or other models that are being trained to answer questions by just looking at documents. Another example, what we also look at, if you are an enterprise and you need a translation service, but of course, language models can also translate your texts, but they do not know your own vocabulary. So you can leverage other third-party translation tools, which actually knows your vocabulary, knows how you tend to answer for certain parts. And if you are making these tools available for the models, then you get a much more performant result at the end. And all in all, I think what is also changing that how we approach problem solving. So thanks to generative AI models, right now, the time to test an idea became so short, so it's not always worth to go through and we don't need to go through the whole process of gathering requirements, designing a proper solution, then start data collecting, checking data, and train models, deploy it, and then at the end, after 3 months, 6 months, we get some user feedback about it. That's not the way how we work with generative AI right now, but since the solutions can be really quickly deployed, a prototype version of them can be developed in a matter of days or weeks, we get feedback very, very short time, so we can iterate on and really find out whether the idea that we found out really works or not, or what are the cases when it doesn't work. So it's less time needed to do this. But it doesn't really mean that by doing a prototype in 3 weeks will be a solution that can be put into production the next day. So with the introduction of large language models, new risks or new challenges that developers need to tackle surface. So these risks or challenges include like how to handle cost, latency, how to handle inconsistency in the answers, how to create feedback loops that are able to provide information on how to fine-tune these models, and actually how to evaluate these models that are generative in their sense. And basically, we are building and focusing on creating a blueprint for generative AI solutions that is providing most of the answers for most of these challenges out of the box. So basically, we are not building a product, but we are creating a blueprint that connects the tools and sets these solutions for you up, so you can really focus on the part which really interests you, which is solving the problem at hand. And basically, just I want to mention 2 more use cases how we are using generative AI. And actually, like half a year ago, we deployed a solution for a company in the Middle East where they wanted to process customer emails when they were reporting problems. And basically, it was quite a challenging problem due to many aspects. But I think what I'd like to highlight here is that GenAI is not always the only solution for a problem, but it has a place in a solution, and there needs to be other dedicated parts built into this to solve the whole use case. So in this use case, we leveraged the summarization capability of GenAI, while we leveraged other specially trained models for categorization because they had very high number of unique categories. And other part where we are offering GenAI capabilities is within our cloud cost optimization tool called Rabbit, where we provide capability for the users to ask any questions about their cloud spending, see it in a chart, and also to find optimization opportunities for the specific product. And that was all from my side. I hope I could give you a very high-level insight into what GenAI offers and how you can leverage in what kind of setups. So right now, turn to the questions if you have.
Yes, thanks, Norby. Thank you very much. Actually, the first question we received is about what are the most used algorithms in generative AI, text generation and image generation.
Very technical, Norby. I think I will.
Yeah, yes. So basically, when it comes to like algorithms, so there are, let's say, there are models that are trained, and these models are being trained to solve specific needs. And basically, the most capable models as of now are like GPT-4 and models from Google, which is like the Palm 2 model. But there are other models for image and text generation as well, and they are basically based on diffusion models, which is a thing from last year. So that's for image generation and other modalities, diffusion models are the one. Okay.
Thank you. The second question, if I may, what are the future developments in generative AI in short term and also in long term?
Yeah. Okay, so the future is really bright in this sense. There are a lot of research areas actually, and what we saw is that scaling the models to more and more enormous sizes doesn't really work anymore. So most probably what we see right now, these model sizes are the ones that we see right now. There won't be any bigger ones because they introduce so many challenges that needs to be tackled in a different way. So what we see right now is like how in short term we will see like a combination of using general large models, complex ones that are capable of solving tasks, and very specialized smaller models that are fine-tuned to do specific tasks. So it's something that is really working already. It's a good way to save costs and as well. But this way of like shrinking the model sizes will definitely a way forward, in my opinion.
Maybe just a quick quick thought. I think from an innovation perspective, in the short term, and what we see with customers is that obviously immediately people are looking at domain-specific applications. So what we expect, or what we would like to see, I think, also from a customer perspective, is making more progress in healthcare, in finance, in customer service, and really to help kind of the jobs to be done of individual business decision makers, also to help them in data analysis, providing personalized recommendations, etc., with less and less involvement from IT. And this brings us into long-term trends. Again, if you look at it from an innovation perspective, the question is how far we'll be able to GenAI and the models to take kind of their general intelligence level. So how far and confident we'll be able to say that in certain areas GenAI can surpass human capabilities, and we can kind of slowly rely, let's say in a decade, in certain areas on the capabilities of GenAI. And if that happens, that will raise two questions. The one will be really kind of human-like understanding and empathy. So if we start to use that, what's the experience that people will have really on a deeper level, or in sensitive situations, let's say in palliative care in healthcare, for example? How would the GenAI model work in a decade or two when it comes to empathy and understanding that patients are potentially in? And obviously all the kind of consciousness and the ethical dilemmas that will come with a more autonomous operation of the models.
Yes,
I
and
believe. Yeah, go ahead, Norman.
let me address the risks of GenAI. So I think that's definitely a topic, and there are risks in multiple aspects. So there are risks in terms of security. So people can jailbreak these models to do things that they are not supposed to do, to access information that they are not supposed to reveal, or they can also hallucinate information that's not real. So all of these are real problems that needs to be solved. And actually, there are many approaches to solve this. But what I find most interesting and promising is a solution that is being developed by NVIDIA called guardrails, NeMo guardrails, which is a way how you can restrict the, let's say, a chatbot that you are creating. So you can create these user flows there, but not creating the whole user flows, but creating parts which should not be answered by the bots. And by doing this, basically you can drive the conversation into areas that the chatbot shall do. So it's another way of driving and making sure that the chatbots do not reveal other information that they are supposed to. And this framework also provides you a sense of security, because it does not directly cause the chatbot with the inputs that the user are inputting. So it's resilient towards any prompt injection attacks as well. I hope that it answered it.
We also did receive a question in the chat platform. So what are the trends that are considered for this matter?
If you specify in which matter, because I think we have touched two more topics behind after that, so I will be able to answer that. But right now I don't know to which connected to.
But then if you have any other questions, we can address those. And in the meantime, I think it came from Ihab. Ihab, if you'd like to just give us a bit more specific which matter you refer to, then maybe we can answer, or we cannot. We'll see.
Yeah. Another question, if you are ready for the next question. So what do you need to start with GenAI?
It's a good question. I think it has multiple aspects. I think one aspect can be answered by Christoph. Definitely, you need to have a directional vision what you want to achieve with this, what Christoph mentioned. So you need to have a goal in mind. For what purpose are you doing this? But I can say from the technical point of view, really nothing. So it's totally new technology. It's new for everyone. It's been there for let's say, in the last 1 year, 2 years. So it's really a good time to enter for everyone to participate in this space and to really try it out, because this is going to be something that is really a commonplace. And the sooner we learn how to interact with these systems, the better we will be equipped to leverage the benefits that they offer.
Yes, I think, again, from an innovation perspective, I think the amazing opportunity with and the challenge with GenAI is really what we call democratization of access. So you can use it, I can use it. By you, I mean anyone in the audience who has, zero engineering expertise. And thereby we are introduced to kind of two opportunities. Either you go down the rabbit hole immediately and get excited by technology, and you start to kind of use it without proper considerations, which will not yield results, because you will be kind of stuck in the, as a non-IT person, you will be stuck in the typical IT sphere where you are doing things for the sake of things. So what we suggest to get started is, well, first be amazed with it. Really go out there, see use cases, look at demos, speak to us. We can show to you how the technology works, and really be amazed, creative, and proactive about this, what this technology can do for you. But then do take a step back with us or with someone else, a workshop internally to better understand where are you heading within your business, be it, you are retail, you are an FSI, you are a manufacturer, and have a really, really good understanding how your current strategy, how you can support it with relevant innovation through generative AI. And then you can bring these two together. A new kind of creativeness that this technology brings in, and the understanding of your business objectives. And out of these two, we, or there are many other partners out there, can help you build a POC that's technically solid, but also is in reliance and kind of in strong connection with the business outcomes you are trying to achieve. Because there will be, what's certain with GenAI, very quickly, everyone will be kind of talking into the mix, because people are now much closer to this technology than to any other one. So you need a really specific path where you want to get to.
I think we have time for one more question, or max two. So if you still have a last question, please post it. But until then, here's the next question. How can we measure the impact and success of AI-driven innovation initiatives?
That's a very good question. Okay. So let's take AI out of the picture for a moment and just say innovation, okay? Which again is the ability for you to drive your strategy forward, which you have more or less consciously at the moment in place, okay? And if you say then, okay, how do we measure innovation as part of the strategy? Then I don't want to jump back in the slides at the moment, but there was a slide where I spoke about the three aspects of innovation. You have very short-term innovation, you have a kind of mid-term, so kind of 1 to 3 years innovation, and long-term innovation. And when you do, of course, short-term kind of innovation, which we call improvements, there you can probably attach KPIs in relation to increasing profitability or reducing cost. And then, of course, if you go and build an innovation around a very short-term kind of goal, 6 to 1 year project, then you can enhance that with AI. So this is why I separate a little bit, because whether it's AI-driven innovation or different innovation, in that sense, it doesn't matter. The question is, how do you measure innovation? The real key, if you want to take away one thing from an innovation perspective today, if you want to do something more transformative within your business, and it's connected to digital innovation, then stop thinking for a moment about profitability and reducing costs in the short term. In the long term, of course, that's the goal. But in order to really do transformative use cases within an organization, you need to move into questions like, how do I ensure the growth and resilience of my business? And how do I start setting up use cases that are considered from that perspective? So it depends. KPIs depend a little bit on what the ultimate outcome is of what you want to achieve. And this is how we as Addis also help normally businesses align the different innovation initiatives.
Thanks, Christoph.
And
yeah, go ahead.
There's a qualification question in the chat. So what trends are shaping the field in generative AI, especially in the natural language processing field? And well, I think there are multiple aspects to this. So basically, what made it possible to reach this stage was the introduction of the transformers architecture in 2017 by Google. So it allowed to scale the models to very large sizes. So it was definitely one thing that it made it possible. And recently, what made ChatGPT successful was about how to basically fine-tune, how to control how the generative process responds to certain requests. So basically, to incorporate human feedback into the training process. That was a very transformative way of making sure that these chatbots are capable of following up conversations and capable of really following instructions as well. So these advancements have been made in the past that were quite important. And right now, it's the most trends what I see is about like how to leverage generative AI with like a simple prompting, let's say. So what are the techniques, how you should phrase your prompts and how to explore their capabilities. That's something that is being a very hot research topic right now. But also on the other hand, since these models are very large, so you cannot really run it on your so you need like a cluster of machines which have like a tremendous amount of GPU memory. So they are not really easy to fine tune to adapt specific business contexts such as law or medical domain. So there have been many researches on how to fine tune efficiently these models to adapt to these new scenarios, how to behave in a new ways that was unknown for them due to the limitation of the training data that was available for the researchers. So I think that's another area that how we can fine tune these models efficiently, and as a result of that, we will come to how to achieve basically more efficient models. But I think when it comes to the very recent models and the open source models, what is driving really the quality of the recent open source models are basically the quality of the training data. So previously, everything from the internet was scraped and was used, but it turned out to be not to be good. But if we really curate the data that is being used to train these models, we get better and better outputs. So the more recent open source models like Falcon or Flan have been trained on a selected set of data sets, which are still huge, but they are of higher quality. And this allows them to achieve similar results on certain tasks as the open source ones, which are really enormous. Which are so not open source, but the closed source ones, which are really enormous. Yeah. And just to reply on the other sessions, on technical ones, yes, we are considering to have more deep dive sessions on specific topics, such as vector databases or to solve certain use cases. So it's something that we are looking into doing.
Thanks, Norby. So our time is up. Thank you, everyone, very much for your kind attention. We'll come back to you with a follow-up email attachment. As an attachment, we will send you this presentation, and stay tuned for our next event. And thank you very much again. Christoph, Norby, do you want to say anything as a last word?
Thank you for coming, being here. You can find us on LinkedIn, I think, and maybe our email is in here as well. But anyway, find us on LinkedIn or any of the kind of proposed contact or any questions for a chat or anything else we can help you talk more.
Yeah, it was a pleasure being here as well.
Thank you again. Bye and have a nice evening. Bye.
Bye.